To be here. Everybody's doing all right tonight. I have got number one. I'm not on video. Brandon's not on video. We're doing this from my studio, and I don't have a camera set up on the studio side of things. Um,
Yet.
yeah, exactly. But I've got Brandon here with me, and he had brought up a topic that he wanted to discuss, and obviously, uh, we keep it fair. And when someone wants to talk about something, then I do my best to make it happen. So tonight we're just going to be talking about careers versus getting paid and not getting paid by doing volunteer work. Now, there's a lot that can be said about volunteer work, and there is a bonus to it, and there is a downfall to it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into that shortly. But Brandon, why don't you, number one, welcome to the show, and go ahead and just tell me your thoughts on it. Like how do you feel about volunteer work, and what is it that bothers you about doing volunteer work?
I don't mind volunteer work. Don't get me wrong. This is not me slamming it. I'm not slamming volunteer work at all.
Okay.
But what bothers me about it is I've done volunteer work a lot, and every single time I've tried to seek employment, paid employment, whether it be from the state or I talk to friends of mine or family, it's always, well, why don't you do volunteer work? I don't
Yeah.
want to do volunteer work. I want to be paid. I want to be a productive member of society just like everybody else.
Right. And that's
And you
hard to
can't
do.
do that.
It's hard
And
to
it's
do.
hard. Yeah, it's hard to do. And you can't do that with volunteer work.
Ops 30.2
And I
screen profile.
actually
Untitled
asked
scenes.
one
Untitled.
of my old friends
Restream
last
row 1
night
column
because I
2
got into a heated
Restream
discussion
document.
with them about it because they brought that up to me.
And what was
And
their opinion on it? What do they think that it's volunteering all the time is the way to go? Like, what?
yeah, that's what they told me. And I pointed it out. I said, I know you don't have a disability, number one. Number two, if you did, or if somebody told you right now to accept volunteer work and never get paid, would you accept that position as a uh, person who has no disability? Would you accept volunteer work all the time and never get paid for it?
Number one, they can't even answer that question because they can't even understand what it is that we're talking about. They can
Exactly.
listen. This is what I say about, and we've got more to say on this, but I want to go at it piece by piece here. I, Number one, if you don't have a disability, please do not try to throw your opinion in as in, well, this is the way it should be. If you don't
Yeah.
understand it, don't don't be throwing your opinion on something that you've never dealt with.
Well, and I told them that same thing because they were like, and I told them, I said, I'm not going to accept volunteer work. I want to get paid. And they're like,
I mean,
well,
by
it's
all
a
means,
start.
everybody has. Listen, everybody's got their own opinion, and I
Hmm.
respect that. But I guess what I'm saying, if you're going to give an opinion, make sure you give a fair opinion about it. Don't just discredit
Don't discredit somebody's
somebody that's
position
disabled and
because,
saying, well, this is the way it should be, and you should do this or do that.
yeah, and they were just telling me, well, it'll get you out of the house. I'm like, that's not my point. My point is you're missing the whole point completely, you know.
Listen,
And no, they couldn't answer that question.
I did 8 years, over a little over actually, in college, and the times that I received paychecks was whenever I was still in college. I
Hmm.
did paid internships. Now, don't get me wrong, the place that I went through and did my paid internship is a very good program, and they do help a lot of students move forward with finding work.
Right.
Um, it doesn't always work that way though. I went
Hmm.
through them, and I got paid for a job, but the organization that I went through, which you know what that is, I won't
Yeah.
say, they were very unprofessional, I did absolutely nothing, but I was getting paid. But the point is, that's why I was getting paid, because it was another organization paying me.
Mm-hmm.
They were paying me. As soon as college was over, folks, I'm still looking for a paid job.
It's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating when you're looking and trying to do that and be productive and better
Now,
yourself.
I hear people say, well, do you think it's got to do with being blind? I hear that all the time. Is it because you being visually impaired? Yeah, probably is.
I absolutely do.
Are they going to admit that? No, they're not going to
Nope.
admit it. But listen, it also depends on the state you're in. For the state of Indiana, they are a no-fault state. So they can hire you or fire you, and they don't got to have a reason. I think that's a very dangerous career standard. Is for people to be able to fire somebody just because. Well, I don't like you, Brandon, so
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go. I don't like you. I don't like your attitude. You're gone.
See, I don't like. I was just talking to
I don't like
somebody
it.
about this tonight.
Now, let me
I
talk
don't like
about
that.
what I do think is important that we also need to understand. The plus about volunteer work is you get your name out there, and you get
Right.
to really build some credit about who you are and what
Mm-hmm.
you've done and what you can do and what you can't do. That is where volunteer work helps out a lot. And if I can volunteer to help somewhere, I would do it. I would
Oh,
do it.
absolutely.
But if I was doing it just because it's getting me out of the house and there was no other goal behind it, I'm not going to waste my time.
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to waste my time. But if I know that I'm volunteering and it's going for a good cause and it's going to be based on me getting a job 3 months from now or 6 months from now, then yeah, I'm going to do it.
Absolutely. But I think what bothers me the most is the fact that most of the time, individuals and state agencies like ours approach it from, well, it just gets you out of the house, and there's really no goal
I'm
behind
going to
it.
turn on the chat here, you guys. I don't even got it on. Let me turn it on just in case anybody wants to say anything.
Restream chat 01, Restream chat, enter, clickable,
Good idea.
message, edit flag, clickable menu, disable button. Clickable menu button opens list. Clickable message, edit flag.
Okay, so chat is on. I have turned that on now.
Restream Google Chrome row 1 column 2 ops 30.2.3 profile untitled scenes untitled Zoom meeting 40 minutes row 2 column 1 4 5. End meeting for all button.
I'll just leave this on the Zoom window. I'm obviously doing some things for getting some career stuff lined out, and there very well could be the condition where I will be going to do some volunteer work, but
But there's a goal behind it.
there's a goal behind it. There is
yeah.
there's a method being used here that's going to say no, that is more than just I'm just going to do it just to get out of the house.
Right. And, I did a video on this I don't know if you saw my video last night on Facebook, but I posted about this topic because
No,
it
I
just
didn't
irks
see it.
me.
I didn't
Yeah,
say
it just makes me mad when somebody brings that up to me. It's like, guys, you clearly don't understand what I'm going for here. It's not that I don't want to do volunteer work. I want
Right.
to be able to get a job and be a meaningful, productive member of society, and be able to make money like anybody else.
Yeah,
I just don't understand what's so hard about that concept to
that
some
makes
people.
sense. It makes sense. I think that you got every reason to feel the way you're feeling about it. There's a lot of people out there that are able to go and get jobs, and they've got a much rougher background than you or
Yeah.
you or me, any of us, and
Yeah.
they're out there doing it, and they're being given these jobs. Um, and the reason I'm rolling into this is because someone had asked me this on another stream we had been doing about careers. So I'm gonna touch base on this for a second. Is the fact is, people. I'm going to give the plus and negative on this too. That way, I'm also protecting and
Right.
giving both sides of it. When someone gets a job and they have a drug condition, I don't like using the term druggies because we don't know what they've been through. But they're doing drugs, they got it in their system, and they're like, man, they're still getting a job. Why are they still getting a job at these factories? It's because these factories can afford to hire them, to pay them, and if they leave, if they lose them, the factory's not losing nothing.
Mm-mm.
So you got to look at this from both angles. Do I agree that it's much easier for people to get a job than it is for someone that's got an education or someone that's got good purpose? No, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But it's business. Just like at McDonald's and Wendy's and a
Burger
lot of
King.
these restaurants, you better believe that there's a lot of people that work at these restaurants that have either been on drugs or went through addiction and recovery that are still doing meth. I mean, I have seen some pretty crazy stuff even in the city where I live. Like, there was a time when a girl was in the bathroom, passed out with a needle in her arm.
Wow.
So, now, I don't think she was an employee, though, but there was other employees at that same restaurant that were higher than a kite.
Oh my gosh.
Now, that I don't agree with. I don't agree with that because, again, I'm not down on the person because they're on drugs. I'm saying that it's not safe or sanitary for someone that is on drugs handling other people's food.
No, especially if they're
Because if they're high and they're out of their mind, they don't know what they've done. They don't know what they've put their hands on or what they've touched or.
yeah.
I mean, the list could go on and on. But point is, we see all these people getting these jobs because it's that easy for the companies to hire them, and if they lose them, so be it. Because somebody else will fill their shoes just as soon as they walk out.
Yep. Well, and I think it's a tragedy because, you're absolutely right. Like, if you really think about the cost of it all, if you hire somebody with a disability, like it or not,
Yeah.
they're going to have to pay out of extra pocket costs for accommodations and all the training and everything like that. And
Well, I mean, there's a lot of jobs like restaurant jobs. I mean, there's certain disabilities where, yeah, you can still work at a restaurant, but in a lot of cases, you're not going to work at a restaurant with a disability.
Well, no. I'm not talking about a restaurant. I'm just saying if you were to get a job anywhere, like,
Yeah. No,
unfortunately, they
Yeah.
would have to pay for the training and all the accommodations. And if you were to get terminated or walk off and say, I don't like this job anymore, yeah, they'd be losing a lot of money.
They're out all that money. But the
It's
thing is,
unfortunate.
the thing is, though, Brandon, they're out money anyways because just to hire
they
one
are.
person, that's anywhere from $20 to $30 to $40,000
Right.
that they're putting on the line for a person to be a responsible employee,
Mm-hmm.
and then they lose them 4 months
Yeah.
later. It still affects the company.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, either way, you're going to lose money if the person walks out or gets terminated. So, yeah, I
Now,
agree.
I am going to tell you, I don't think that it should take vocational rehab for VR services for someone to
No.
get a job. I don't think you need someone to tell you what job you need. If you know what the job is that you can do, why can't you get out and do it on your own?
And why is it that when you go through these services, and this is another sticking point with me, you'll tell them, and I've had this happen to me several times, where you'll say, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting a career in this field," and instead of saying, "Okay, here we'll see what we can do to help you," they want to throw their opinions in of, "Well, it's not a great idea. You can do this other job, not what you really want to do." It's like, that's not your job as a vocational agency, is to throw your own
Right.
personal opinions in.
I get it, and I understand the way that it works because I did that type of work.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand the process. I understand how, you know, these organizations are set up with vendors
Right.
that work with them to bring in employees.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, let's say McDonald's. McDonald's is a vendor for some of the VRCs.
Mm-hmm.
So they've already got a network connection there. And being they've got that connection, they're not going to tell VRC no. So it's easier for them because they know that they're not going to just turn them down, that they take them a client, they're
Right.
going to put them to work because it makes them look good.
Right.
But me and you, if we go out there and we just talk to someone off the street, there's nothing that says they even got to hire us or even give us a chance, because
Exactly.
it's not going to hurt their name or their reputation or anything if they say no. So there's a lot of ways to look at it, and it's kind of a 50-50 punch. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it is.
It's unfortunate.
I was gonna flip this around. Like, if you were working in that sort of a career.
I would never work at McDonald's.
Well, no, I'm not saying
Okay.
McDonald's. Like, if
I
you
just
worked
want to
for
throw
a
it out
VR
there. I will not flip a burger or
I
get
wouldn't.
fries. Okay.
I
just
wouldn't
won't-
either,
I
but
won't do
no,
that.
I was saying, if you worked at a VRC and were one of those, and you had a client come in and say something to the effect of, "Well, I'd love to do a radio broadcasting type job," I just don't see you throwing these opinions in and going, "Well, it can't be done, and we're gonna just find you something else instead." I don't see
Well,
that.
I know that wouldn't be the case, because I know that there was a client that actually was set up with. I mean, there was a decent amount of money invested in one of the clients that got a bunch of recording equipment bought, because he recorded music for people. Now, it's different. It's not a DJ, but the problem with DJing, and I would tell you this as your counselor, I would tell you that if you was in my area, I would tell you you're absolutely crazy. It's not going to happen, because not because I don't think you can do the job, but because of technology that they don't have. The technology that they do have is too advanced and not accessible. So that I can understand. It just depends on where are you gonna DJ at, and is that equipment accessible? If it is, then I would support you 100%. But if I knew there was no way, I'd say there's no way. But I wouldn't just throw you under the bus.
I'd love to have you talk to a friend of mine here in Texas. He lives in Houston, actually. He actually did do DJ work.
He very well could have. But he was set up with accessible equipment, obviously.
I don't know if he was or not. I haven't asked him about how he did it.
He had to be. If he was visually impaired, they didn't just put him at a radio station, he started hitting buttons.
No. He wasn't at a station. He was DJing at clubs.
Oh, well, that's different. He had his own equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. That's totally different, yeah. If you can make a career off that, absolutely. Absolutely. DJing is much easier today than what it was 10 years ago. Why? Because you can put everything on a drive the size of your thumb, plug it into some DJ equipment, hook the speakers up to it, put a mic up to it, and bam, there's your music.
There you go.
Hook a laptop up to it, set up playlists. Speaking of that, that is so funny you brought that up, because I'm actually working on just something on the side for DJing. I'll have to show you what I'm talking about when we're done. Basically, the menu will let you add the music that you want, and it reads the menu, and then
Wow.
after you, yeah, we are time. We got 10 minutes.
Oh.
So that's because it's Zoom and it's a free thing.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell you about that in a little bit. But anyway, I do think that volunteer work is okay, but I think that it also depends on the situation.
I think there needs to be a balance to it. Like like you said earlier, if you have a goal in mind behind the volunteer job, then I'm okay with that. But if you're just telling me, oh, you need to volunteer.
Hey, I
let's
know what
get you
we'll
out of the
do
house.
when this
No.
is over. Just exit all the way.
Yeah.
I'll close this out, and the link, I believe, will be the same again.
Yeah, it'll save.
So wait like a minute and just come back in.
Okay.
And then that'll give us another, which we really don't, I don't even think it's necessary tonight, because,
No.
guys, we're curious, what do you think? I mean, what do you think about volunteer work? Is it something that do you volunteer? Would you volunteer? Do you think is it beneficial to you? Or is it something that you just don't like to do? We're curious to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to hear about if.
And also be
People
sure to
have been-
subscribe to us on the channel here at the Lounge, Lounging with John. You can go to youtube.com/loungingwithjohn. Click on the subscribe button. Join us here.
Yep.
I hope that we didn't stream nothing through none of the BVI stuff. I don't think we did.
I don't think so.
If so, then if it went through Twitch, then so be it. Don't Twitch too much thinking about it. It's okay.
Yeah, really.
But leave us your thoughts. I'm curious what y'all think, because I don't disagree with volunteer work, but I do see Brandon's point here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it either.
Can't
I
always be about volunteer work.
No, and that's what irks me when somebody always makes it always about volunteering. I don't mind that, but I want a goal behind it. Don't just shove me out there and be like, oh, well, you're free labor. No.
Yeah, I feel you. I got that Snapchat on my phone. It's I don't know how people use it so well. It's not accessible at all, hardly.
Good
At
thing
least-
I didn't download it.
Yeah, it's not very accessible. So, anyways, folks, leave us your thoughts. Put your comments down below.
Your meeting will end in 10 minutes.
We would love to see.
Close button. Your meeting will end. Need more time. Zoom upgrade button. Close button. End meeting or leave meeting window. End meeting for all button.
You still there?
Yep.
All right. So
Restream chat row 1 column 2 to 5. Restream
that
chat
is
row 1 column 1.
about all
Restream chat.
we've got for you
End
for
meeting or leave
right
meeting window.
now. We will be back tomorrow, and I'll see what I can do about extending so we don't got such a 40 minutes. That just went by super fast.
End meeting or leave
That's a
meeting.
short window for something like this.
It is. So,
Restream Google Chrome row 1 column 2 to 4.
but guys, we
Restream
appreciate
Google Chrome. Restream document.
all of you.
End meeting for all button.
Thank you for
Ops 30.2.3. Ops 30.2.
listening to the live stream. We appreciate you. Be sure to share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of the social sites that you might be a part of. Set your notifications to always.
Start virtual chat. Start recording checkbox
That
check.
way you are
Stop
notified
streaming checkbox check.
each and every time that we go.